out the previous
I'm just
session.
starting, Swamy, the
Yes,
recording.
please. I see recording is started.
Good morning, everyone. Before we start today's session, please feel free to do event check-in. This will give you access to additional resources and information about events that we are running on Reactor, which are around similar topics to today's session. I will share the event check-in link with the event ID in the Q&A section shortly. Thank you all once again for joining us today. My name is Rashmitha and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru, India. The session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. The session is being recorded and will be uploaded to our Reactor YouTube channel. I will share the link to our YouTube channel in the chat section soon. Quick word on our code of conduct. We display this at all Microsoft Reactor events that we run, and it's just a reminder to be aware of others. Key thing to take out here is to be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Also, please keep your mics muted during the session. I would now like to welcome Swamy, our speaker for today's session. He is an aspirant software architect and currently works at Applied Information Sciences. He loves to learn about new technologies, but for now, I will hand over to Swamy to begin the session. Over to you, Swamy.
Thanks so much. I found your individual video. Pallab, I will show that one also. Just a moment. I'll take a quick minute.
And some of them, for a variety of reasons, they want to keep the data on-prem. Maybe they want to keep the application on-prem. So in this session, we're going to talk about all of the hybrid technologies that you can use with applications to make them work, not just migrating the entire...
What is this voice coming from? What is this?
I think somebody has unmuted. Folks, please requesting everybody to keep your mics muted. It's the basic house rule.
So Pallab, just go to the reactor and click on the search and type AZ-204. You'll find all 5 videos here. Okay, at the top you see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is here in the. It will be in the playlist. Easier way is to go and hit here, or the other link which we have. Rashmita has already given that link. You can directly go there and it flashes the top 5 links will be the sessions which are already done. Okay, so you can go and grab it from there. Thanks. So you can come and you can see here the 5 will be on demand. You can come in here and some are the fresh content. It's a future episode and today's episode. Okay, thanks. Perfect. So let's come back to this one. And what we are going to do today is everything related to the containerization of this one. This is little bit. This is little bit of. It's not a tough concept. It's a very good concept. And future is containerization. I mean, it's very rarely people will try hosting their on-prem unless there is some strong motivation due to some trade secrets or whatever it is. They have a proprietary DLLs, proprietary algorithms. Some people have written engines, proprietary engines of they spent 20, 25 years on building it. So those kind of unless those kind of strong reasons, everyone are moving to cloud and everyone are moving to cloud and that towards the containerization. So we have a lot of things to discuss, and here is you will have everything. All the sessions will be here, and this is today's session. And I checked in around 1:30 or 2 o'clock. I checked in last night. I didn't get a time to go and complete the documentation, which I will do it by a day or two. So at least verbally, I will tell what are we going to do. We are not going to stop here. We are going to do more than this. So first thing is we'll go and see quickly. I'll put it in a notepad, so we will have the direction what we will do. We'll get the introduction of Docker, what the Docker is, and we'll go and create a web app with Docker, and then we'll create a Azure Container Instance with having from the Docker, and then we'll create our own ACR, Azure Container Registry, and push push the image, and then we will again go ahead and create ACI, one more Azure Container Instance, and get it from the ACR, and then we'll go back to web app, and again this time we'll pull from ACR. So a lot of things to do. So let's get the party started. Okay, so I have my own Docker hub where I check in. I use Docker for this community service. Anywhere I have to present something, someone is unmuting their mic. Please mute yourself, folks. So thank you. So
Swamy,
this is yeah.
1 minute before we start, I'm just disabling everybody's mic for time being, and probably give back the mic rights just before we start for the Q&A section.
Yeah, you guys can post your queries and you can raise your hand. So Rashmita will be monitoring anyone who raises the hand. She might unmute them particularly because just to be with the flow. Nothing, anything. I'm not rude, but I'm just telling that let's go and learn. A lot of things are there in our pipeline to get learned. So we'll do all these things now. We will see that how to do everything. Okay. First thing is we'll see what is the difference between VM. Okay. What is the difference between Docker and virtual machines? There are a lot of images and documentation. So you know that I'm no slides guy. So you can see this. This is the one which I generally come and I use it. Anything like this, you can see this from the official Docker. So what happens is here, you have the infrastructure, you have a host operating system, and you have the Docker engine. We'll come back to this one. Here, if you see that you have the infrastructure, you have a hypervisor, you will have the guest operating system. So what will happen with this guest operating system is we can have different operating systems like Windows, Ubuntu, Linux, or whatever the operating systems, virtual machine, OSI we have it, we can go ahead and create those things. Now what is happening is this complete hardware is being distributed this complete hardware is being distributed between these virtual machines, and we have to go and again maintain those virtual machines and deployment and everything we need to take care. And if we miss any of those DLLs or required artifacts, again we need to come back and we need to go and redeploy that. It's a little bit of pain, and you have this virtual machine. You have allocated 2 GB RAM and 50 GB hard disk, whatever the infrastructure you have allocated it, and we need to ensure that you're properly utilizing it. Let's assume that we have two apps, and one app is written by me and one app is written by Ravi, and we deployed this. And I've written a pretty bad code, and my application is chewing up the memory and CPU. And because of that, Ravi's application will not work, and people start sending him the production support request saying that application is not responding. It's because of my this thing. I mean, again, there are a lot of tools to cap it, and we have the watchdogs to intimate and monitoring. Lot of things are there, but again, still we have to go through that pain point. Still, we have to go through that pain point. This is what I was looking at. So now see this in this scenario, if you have to you want to deploy two instances of the same application. So what you have to do is you have to deploy it in two different virtual machines, or you can again create. That's not a suggested. Best thing what we do is we'll have virtual machine A, virtual machine B. We'll have instance 1 in virtual machine A, instance 2 in virtual machine B, and through the FI or any load balancer, we'll route the request to both the virtual machine. But here, if and there what will happen is you have to go and deploy it two times. That's good. That means there is the binaries are being deployed two times. That means two physical file system copies are there. Now, if you see that here in this Docker, what is happening is you have only one file system. You see this bin and lib. With one file system, I'm able to spin two instances. With the same file system, I'm able to spin four instances of the same web API or whatever it is. That's one other advantage. Okay, and that's one other advantage. And what is the difference between VM, Docker, and Azure Container Instance? There's another good image. Is this guy is coming on top of this one. It's something like this. So what will happen is here you will have the container registry. It could be the Docker, or it could be anything. It's something similar to this one. It's a container registry. So it could be the Docker container registry, or it could be the Azure Container Registry. So you can have any of those container registries, and you can go ahead and deploy it to the Azure Container Instance. So can we use it to production applications? I am really not sure. As far as I was learning, it was everybody was calling it like it can be used to dev test or a low to medium traffic one, because I didn't see we are having a lot of controls. Better to move towards containerization, like AKS and other solutions are there. We can discuss in future episode. But as of today, just understand this one. Okay. So let's spend one minute, real quick minute on Azure Container Registry. So you can see that this is Azure Container Registry and Azure Container Instances. One has already asked that question, this versus this. Here also recently they started multiple instances one, but you can check that offers an easy way to run containers in Azure, eliminating a lot of work like creating the virtual machines and a lot of things. But I see that it's wherever it is a very simple use case, we can use this one. That does not mean that we can't use it. Very simple for very simple things which we can use it. Okay, so let's quickly go and see this documentation for 1 minute, and then we can start the discussion. Concepts. Let's come back to the concepts, and you can see that here is the registry, and these are all the repos. And from our repository, we will have the artifacts, and we will go and deploy. So it's a storage. It's a storage location where we will store all the images. Like if you can see that Docker registry. So if you come and see that Docker registry, this is a very good image which I see all the time. So here is the registry. Like it's like a shelf where you keep all the books. Okay. From that shelf, we will pick up the image, and that image will get deployed into the system wherever it is on our local laptop or on production machines. It gets deployed as a container. So what is this registry? We told that that's like a storage location. So the registry could be Docker Hub, or the registry could be Azure Container Registry, or there are AWS registries, Google registries, a lot of other registries are there in the game, and you can have it on-premise registries also. Okay, so you can have the private as well as the public registry. So that's about this one. And similarly, if you come and see what is this Azure Container Instance, it's like uh, we can go ahead and take one image and deploy it as a container. Um, they are supporting the Docker Compose also, but for today we'll focus on single container thing. So you can see that container becomes the preferred way of deploy. We'll see the advantage what it is. Okay, so let's have a quick couple of minutes discussion on Docker. So you can install this Docker, and I mean now previously it was free, and now it is they are charging it if it is if you're using it for your organizational thing. So I have the personal license which is for free and which I use only for my community service or my tech talks. Uh, this one, and another thing is we can see this Docker image and how this things are how the things are working. It's entirely you can have this Docker engine. It's like this one, and we will have a lot of applications here, and all the applications will first get converted into images, and those images will pull and make it an executable. So that's the deal. Okay, so Docker commands. Let's see few of those commands, whatever we needed. We don't need any of those commands at this point of time, but what I'm telling is just to understand how the things are working behind the scenes, because we clearly use Visual Studio 2019 or Visual Studio Code to get these jobs done. So we don't need to know anything, but just as a additional benefit, we are doing this one. So what we will do is once we have the Docker installed, we can come and say that Docker info. So that will give this information about the Docker on my machine. So you can see a lot of details. So it says that how many containers are there, how many are running, how many stopped, and how many images are there. A lot of things it displays. So if you want to download any image, so what we can do is we can come to the Docker Hub and duplicate it. And what we can do here is we can go to the repositories, and not my repositories, Docker's repositories. So you can see that you want verified, select the verified and official images. So if you unselect this, everyone who creates their this thing, it will come and get appeared here. Just we can filter it out so that we know that whatever we are using, it's verified, and there are no security vulnerabilities or no malwares or whatsoever. There is no threat when we use it. So you can see that you have MySQL, Postgres, Nginx, MongoDB, SQL Server. A lot of things are there. You can use this Memcache. You have it, Rabbit, MQ, Golang. Tons and tons of images are there. We can use it. So if we don't know how to use it, what we can do is we can just click on this. Once we click on that, it will it will come, and there you will give they will give you the command to pull that. So that's one way to know. And if you want any specific tag, you can expand the tags and you can go and build it. Suppose you have a dependency you tested your entire solution on enterprise 6.6.3. You don't want to migrate to 7.1, 7.2, or this one latest one. So you can use this one. Okay. So that's the thing. Where did we go? Okay, downloading the images pool. So verify what all the images are there. To execute, you can execute docker run IT interactive d detach, and what is that image you want to execute. Okay, what is running means the static or the file system, all the binaries along with its dependencies, that becomes an image in Docker. Okay, if you execute an image, that becomes a container. That's when it is in execution mode. So if I come here and I'll check Docker image, this will show that Docker images. Docker images. This will show what all the images which I have it on my local machine. Okay. And Docker PS. So this will show what all the processes which it is running at this point of time. So that means there is something it is executing on this port. So if I go and HTTPS colon this one host, when I do this, what was the port I have used? Okay, it's 49153. So that gets routed. This is the HTTP port. This is a HTTPS port. Is it executing or it stopped? It's running. Yeah, it's up 52 minutes ago. Let's check from here. I can come to this containers, the shopping client it is running, and I can click on this one, browse. So that will bring, looks like it has stopped working. We'll execute it in a minute, don't worry. Okay, so let it come. So we can verify that Docker PS, all the containers which are in execution mode. PS and PS-A is all the containers, whether it is executing or whether it is not executing. So if you see that Docker PS-A, so when we go and see it's an execution mode, this is the only container I have. That's the reason we are seeing this one at this point of time. So this is something, a very simple hello world application which I have created for our demonstration. Okay, so let's see a few other things. So let's go to the internals now. We are doing the deep dive. So when you execute it from here, we can do the same thing from here also. I can come in here and click on this. That means now we are entering into the Docker image. This is what, when we do Docker exec IT interactive mode, the image ID and bin sh. So I do host name. So that gives this image name. You can see that 04F15F. That means that is a Docker container. Right now we are inside the Docker container. So if I do cd dot dot, so pwd print working directory, and now cd app, now do ls, you see all our controller folder, everything, whatever we have it here, entire source code is here. So this is one way we can get into that Docker using exec. You can get into that and see. That's one thing. And rest of the logs you can see here, and you can inspect the logs. We can go and get deep into the logs, and we can see the stats. Other way to do is we can come here in Visual Studio, the nice tool. You can come and check the logs. You have the logs here. And if any volumes are attached, we can see that what all the volumes, and you can see the file system, whatever whatever we have seen here, we can do a quick compare kind of thing between these two. ls, and if I do cd dot dot, now I'm in the root file system. I do ls, you can see that app, all this, almost all the things are coming. App, bin, boot, dev, etc, home, lib. So the same file system which you are, if you are a command line guy, you are comfortable, you can go, or you can come in here. So if I expand this app, I can again go back to cd app. You see that all the things, the folders, you see commands.txt, docker, so and so, so and so, everything is there. So this is like an extra information what I'm providing to you, so that if you have to investigate what is wrong, you guys can go and validate that. So you can see that. So this is a pretty important tool, and check the license. I have the personal license, which I only use it for my uh, uh, community service. So you can see that I can have only one private image. If you see that, I am allowed only one private image, and that's my profile. So they will allow only one private image. The rest of all the things should be the public image. So that's about a 30,000 foot introduction on what is Docker, what is Azure Container Registry, what is Azure Container Instance, and we'll see everything in practical now. And also we saw the difference, what is virtual machine. I mean, it's from a 30,000 foot, not, we didn't get any closer. We did it high level look into that all. Okay, so now let's come back and do a hands-on. That's what is, we are going to do this. First thing what we will do is, we will create a web application. So next 40 minutes will be purely like an express train, bullet train kind of thing. You can pile up your queries, we'll catch up. So app hyphen app hyphen demo, I'm calling it as 001 R2. Okay. So we have seen the code, we have seen Linux and Windows, all these things. Now let's come back to this Docker container. So let me go ahead and create something in central is the one which it is comfortable. So let's not disappoint it. Plan. Let me create a plan, and it is trying to use P series. I don't want P series. I want to use S1. That itself is pretty much a cost. Now I can come back to this one, Docker. So let's see, let's come back from the quick start, or you can come to this Docker up. We'll come back and we'll do all these things, but I just want to show you at a high level. So we didn't create any Docker registry, but we will use this default. And from the monitoring perspective also, at this point of time, we'll not do anything, but we'll come back and create it. While that's being cooked up, we can create one. So we have tags, and this is the first one. Whatever we are doing is this one. So we are web application, Docker. This is the default demo. That's a demo. That's what we are doing. So I just click on yes, and I'll switch back to this, and let me create an application insights, create. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, that's created. So now let's come back and switch to this window. The deployment is already done. So I'll come and see here. So we have the plan and we know how to navigate it from the plan. We can come and see this apps. So it says that app Linux and it's a container app. So let me do a refresh. So I can come into this one and we can go and check the deployment center. And it shows that what is that registry? Single container. That's the source is a private registry and the static site. And we can have the webbook if you need a continuous integration. And I can come back to logs here to verify that this all it shows that how did it pull this Docker image, how did it start? It has got the complete this thing. So if at all your application is not working, then you need to come and see that. So it says that the application has been successfully initialized. I'm having a glass of water. Okay, that's cool. So we can come back to overview. And click on that. So now we are seeing that that's a default. It should be an Nginx one. You can go to this SSH. Go. That's not what was expected. Let me stop. Sometimes it takes a little bit time to show. Let's do an SSH to okay. Let it give the control, folks, because as we used to have the app service editor when we were dealing with Windows kind of web apps, and this is the Linux, and on top of that, there's a Docker container. So let's see this. I think this is what they are providing. Okay, that should be fine. If this is what is expected, we will see that we'll keep a watch on this one. Let's go to the next demo. Next demo is we'll go and create something as container instances. Okay, so you can see that number of options also are very, very low here. So container instance, demo 001. I'll try this. And West US, whatever it is, you can take it from the quick start. And if we will use our own, and then this is the CPU, whatever the memory we can have, we can go and adjust that. And if you want the DNS labels, I can say that demo -001, and we can go to that advanced and tags. I'm not using any tags, and I click on. Where is this coming? Click on create. Okay, I think that's what these people are providing. No problem. That should be fine. But this will be different for sure. Let me come back here and select this. Okay. So Let's select this one. This one is it, app demo. So that we did one experiment, and other thing also got deployed. Let's get into the details of that, what each and every item is doing. First, I want to open that app demo in a separate tab. I think deployment is done. Did I deploy it in a wrong location? Could be. I should have. Looks like I deployed it to the wrong location. Never mind. Container instances. Let's do. I'll ensure that I'm deploying to the proper location. It went into my other subscription. I'll come back to my the subscription app demo 001, and let's use it here, and I'm giving this as a DNS label. This is the default container, the static pages, and the default images which is provided. We are using that. So we're not using anything else. So first we will check with this, and then we'll use the Docker image which I have created last night, and then we'll create our own. So that way we cover everything, how to do the web app container as well as container instance using Docker image. And then we'll check that how to do the same thing from our Azure Container Registry. So we'll check both the methods. So in the meanwhile, let's come back over here and go to this advanced Kudu console. That is one way to verify, and other way to verify is if you come and check this deployment center, we can get into the logs, and we can see that the container site is initialized successfully and ready to be served. Like it is just a static one. So let's go and understand that what is that static. So let's do a bash into that and do an ls and cd site and ls cd www root and ls. So it has got just a hosting start.html, which we are seeing. So that means whatever is there inside this Docker container, the same thing we are seeing. So our whatever the doubts or queries we had it, now it got clarified. Okay. So now we come back to this one. So whatever Microsoft's default one, which we are using, Azure Docs. So it was pulling the image, it pulled and it started. We can come and check the logs, and we can connect, and we can do the properties also. It gives a little bit of properties here. So what is the name and what is the image it is using, port and everything. Yeah, these properties. And if you want to connect, the same thing you can do bin bash into this, and we can check logs. Okay, it's not allowing us to do. Okay, that should be fine. Let's go and check this first. So I'll take the public IP of this, and okay, anyway, we have validated it. So HTTP, because it has opened the port 80. You can see this, that's a default one. That's one way. Other way, what I can do is I can use the FQDN, fully qualified domain name. So I can come back here, do HTTP : this one. So that also brings me to the same instance. Just to see that it is opening that one. So we have seen two things. We have seen how to create the container out of the web app, and how to use the Docker, how to create the container instance from Docker. So we have seen two samples. One is Docker container, web app as a Docker container, and getting the image from default image, and Azure Container Registry instance, Azure Container Instance, and getting it from the default samples, whatever has been provided. So apart from that, what we will do is we'll create two more things real quick. So I'm creating another one. Okay, demo from image from Docker, img from Docker. So I'll save this so that it will be easy for me. So I'm going here and I'm saying the Docker. Let me use East US. I'll create one plan, and I don't want premium. I will go and select this. This itself is 4,000 rupees or something. So when it comes to this was the quick start thing. So the next option is private registries. I don't have, so I will show you rest of the things. So now I want to use it from the Docker. So now I need to come back to my Docker images, which I want to use this. So please ensure that how many pulls are there on this before you make the decision to pull any of this image. Okay, be a little extra careful on that. Okay, so on my image, I didn't run the security scanners and all those things. It's just for my technical talks, I use this one. But before you choosing it, please ensure that who is supporting and did they have this security scanning and all those things. Please verify that. So I'm saying that Vishipilor shopping client latest, and monitoring, we don't need it. Okay, now I go and click on create. It's creating. Let it create. In the meanwhile, we'll create a Azure Container Registry and we'll start pushing the things into Azure Container Registry. 2 minutes ago. Let me check, is that my MVP? Okay, cool. So now Azure, Container Registry. So we use this container registry. I want to go ahead and create this container registry. So name they suggest is AZ-204 demos. Okay. I want that to be in East US. And I want only the basic one. Networking, encryption. We're taking all default ones now. So we'll create the I think something will fail. That should be fine. So just now we created another sample that is the Docker. Oh God, why did it go here? This one, app from app demo image from Docker. This is the application which we created. Now when we go, you can see this shopping client, the same application which we have seen on my local PC, because this is coming from the image, Docker image. We can get into the deployment details of this one. There it clearly shows that where is this image coming from. So the image is coming from the single container. The registry source is Docker Hub. The repository access is public. And what is the image name? I'm not doing the continuous deployment. I can switch on the continuous deployment and take this webhook and come back to this one, webhooks. and I can add this webbook URL, whatever the URL this was provided here, I can add it and create it. So anytime I do a check-in here, it comes and deploys. That we will do it in the next episode when we are doing, but for this we will keep it simple. Okay, let me come back over here and go to this one because I'm using the same name. That's the reason it's getting deployed to the other repository. We are seeing very less number of items here. Whatever I'm creating, it is going and creating there. Okay. So the other thing is, let's come to container instances. And I'm going ahead and creating this container instance. See, that's the problem. It's always going and creating in the MCT one. Okay. So the container instance name is demo image Docker. So this time I'm getting it from Docker. And that's a public image. I'm giving the image name. And I'm clicking on networking. I'm keeping everything to its defaults. I can again come back over here, CI, demo, image. That's from Docker. Advanced, tags, review and create. And I'll click on create. So again, it went and created in this. God, Jesus. Let me come in here. Container registry. See, that's what it is taking by default. Okay, container registry, AZ-204 demos. Should be unique. Okay, cool. So let me go back and make it a basic. And I'm leaving rest of the things to default. And let's go ahead and create the registry. In the meanwhile, I think create, yes. It's initializing the deployment. Let's give this a minute. Okay. Let's come back to this. This deployment is in progress. I think we have already created few other things here. I can come in here and get into this container, and let's see that it has pulled and it has started, and that is my public repository. You can come and verify it here in the logs. It shows that it is listening on port 80. Okay, and another thing is, if you do we don't need to go to that connect, it is troubling us. But rest of the things you can see, this the image is my image and the sport and everything is here. Okay, so what we will do is we can come back to this overview, and the same two methods. I can select this, come back over here with fully qualified domain name. I can hit that. I should see the same. I should see the same. This thing. Same shopping client site, because this is the first time it is hitting. Maybe it's converting from cold mode to wow. Sometimes Okay. Sometimes it takes little bit time, but it will come. Okay, see that? It has come. It shouldn't make any difference between FQDN and the public IP. It takes time to warm up because the moment we create, it will be in cold mode. To come up, warm up, it takes little bit time. So we have seen 4 demos. We have created a web app with the quick start, web app Docker quick start, Azure Container Instance quick start, web app Docker image from Docker registry, and Azure Container Instance from Docker registry. Now we'll come back to the Azure Container Registry. We have created our own Azure Container Registry. This is the one. See this is a container instance and this is a container registry. Registry is the one where we will place all the images. Okay, just to save the time, we need to enable the this one admin user. If not, we'll not be able to pull it from the other side. And the passwords and other things are there. Will actually, I will show the harder way to teach, but this time I'm going little different. Let's learn it the other way. So what we will do is we will go ahead, do a small improvisation. Let's put a simple label. I can come in here. Okay, so sometimes my machine. Okay. Color. I'm selecting this. Let's see that. Then we'll push this image to Azure Container Registry. Okay. There are commands to do it. We can use Visual Studio 2019 and we can use this one. So we can use the Visual Studio Code or we can use that. So whatever I'm doing it from the Visual Studio 2019, you can do it from the Visual Studio Code also, but you have to install this extension. And also we can do it from AZ command line also, AZ Azure CLI command line. So you can do it multiple ways, folks. Now, my intention was not that. Where did I do that? In the body tag. Okay, we did some change so that we can know that the difference between what is the previous image and what is the current image. Okay, we are okay with that that change. So then how do you go ahead and deploy? So that's a good question. So what we can do is we have to right mouse click and click on publish. And if time permits, I think we have 10-15 minutes time. We'll do. I'm creating new and I want to push it to the container registry. This says that publish your application to any supported container registry that works with Docker image. So if you get into the details, you can have your own other registries or you can push it to the Azure Container Registry or Docker Hub. So we'll select this Azure Container Registry. Now let's click on this and let me go ahead and select my this subscription. And here let's come back and validate because I'm getting confused between two of these things. CA AZ-204 demos one. That's perfect. So it's coming from NFR. This one. Okay, cool. So I click on finish and click on publish. It is publishing. So by the time it publishes, what we can do is we can come to the repositories. And again, we have the Webbook concept, guys. Webbook concept, I will again walk you through on the Webbook concepts, but let me create a duplicate of this. We have seen it, but I just want to emphasize that you can create the webhooks so that it will become a continuous integration kind of continuous deployment kind of thing where we go and deploy as and when we do something. That's this one. I don't want this. I want to go to the resource groups and select this. Minimize shrink and let's go to this one or anyone for that matter fact. Okay, so see that it is pushing. It takes a little bit time, but see it is pushing. It is pushing. Just give me 1 minute. See that it is pushing this. So see it's preparing, and it started pushing. You can see that it is going to the container registry, and it is creating with the name shopping client. So you can come back. What is that? What's this the one which we created? I think we have seen that in the other place. Let's spend a minute over here. Here I feel sorry, very less number of options. Even the logs and everything. These guys are providing. This should be fair enough for us to debug or investigate whatever the issues. But when I compare the facilities, what we get it as part of the web apps, I can't even compare that. It's serious. This thing you can see that wherever we have this webhooks enabled, we can go and select that webhooks so that we can convert that as a continuous integration. So we have to copy that and come back over here and we can create a webhook. As we have seen in the Docker Hub, we can create the location and the URL and what action we want to do it, push or pull, and then create it. But at this point of time, let's stick to the basic game plan. And you can see that it has built and it has sent it also. We can see all the commands, whatever it has executed. Internally, we can go, we can go and see all those commands, see what it is doing. It is executing this Docker file. There is a Docker file here. We can come and check that. Here is a Docker file. Okay, you can see that all the commands it is executing is from here. See step working DR. See, this is the second step, work DR SRC. Before that, there should be one more step at the top. There should be one more step. And we can go and see that after this, there is copy source. And you can see that then there is run. You can see that. And then copy from this location to the other location. And then work DAR. You can see that all the commands, whatever it has executed. And from the container tools perspective also, what it is doing, you can see that it is executing all these things which we can see as part of the logs here. So let's come back and go back to the repositories here and just do a refresh. You should see that shopping client. We can get into that shopping client. And here you can see the latest version. You can have the JSON view of that one also, what it is. So we have this registry. Now let's come back to that our resource group, NFR, right? So let me create instances. Create. Now this time CI that we are using from the Azure Container Registry. Now we tested quick start. We tested the Docker Hub. Now we are doing this one. So now it's asking us to select. So, wow. This is not our container registry. This is our container registry. It's in East US. Let me go to that NFR. Yes, this is an NFR. Container instances. Why? Okay, sorry. US. How? It's not this. Just a moment, folks. It's East US. And it is in this resource group. NFR. Let me go ahead and create a web app and let me see whether it is giving there. Let's select app demo from ACR 001. And I'm saying Docker container. And let me select East US. And I already have this plan. Let me go. So it's a single container. You can have a Docker compose where you can execute the multiple instances, but I'm using the single container one. I'm going to Azure Container Registry. God, what is this? You don't have anything in here. Why it is? Let's try push into this one. Where did I push? That's Azure Container Registry. It shows this. Let me go back to this one. Okay, it is showing this one. Let's use this, guys. Because for some reason, in the interest of time, I'm switching from this. Technically, it should show that there is no difference, but for some reason, this guy is troubling us. So let's not, in the interest of time, I want to switch back to the other container registry where I created here in my MCT. This one. Demos, we will go to the access key so that we should be able to pull this. I will enable this. Okay, that's enabled. And as I was mentioning, wherever you need the webbook continuous integration, you can do this. And you can do the same thing I've shown you, isn't it? The continuous integration from the Docker Hub also. You can add a webbook here. So anytime if I do a new push here, it directly goes and applies to all the containers which use this particular image. It goes and updates that. So let's come back to this one. Let's wait for a minute. I think it has pushed it. Oh, it's doing, I'm sorry. It's pushing the final piece, I think so. It pushed. Is it something still pending? Okay, I think it's done. Okay, we are seeing it here. And yep, 10:07 GMT plus 5.5. It did that. Let's go back and let's do a quick refresh on this one because it has to get that permission. So let me go ahead and create in my NFR, and the resource group is 002, and I'm calling it as this is app-demo from Azure Container Registry 001. And I take this Docker and make it like East US, and I will select this, apply, and inside the Docker, we'll select Azure Container Registry. It loads. See this, now it is loading this. Jesus. Okay, that's fine. So it's asking for the monitor. I mean, we need to use monitoring, but this is just a demo, and lack of time, I'm not using any of those things. And you can see that this is our application name. This is a container. It is coming from Azure CR Container Registry. And this is the server URL. I'm saying create. Okay, that's it is creating. Let's quickly come back to resource groups. Again, we'll go back to my NFR and we'll create we created a web app. We'll create container instance. We'll go ahead and click on create. It is in NFR, and this one CI app demo from ACR 001, and this time we are pulling it from Azure Container Instance. See, perfectly it is coming. Now we can do the same thing. CI demo ACR 001. I think I've added app also. Let's give this a minute. Now let's come back, go to the resource. Okay, the resource is here. We can quickly come back and check the deployment center. It's from the Azure Container Registry, and this is the container which we have created. And I click on this. You can see that the difference. This was coming it from my Docker images, which I pushed it around 2 a.m. this morning. And this is the one which we pushed it just now. So we saw that, and let's go and check the Azure Container Instance. And as I was mentioning, it takes little bit time. We'll check our luck. If it is good, we will get this real quick. If not, we have to wait for a minute or two because it has to do a warm up. it has to do a warm up on that. Let's see that. In the meanwhile, we can do a quick recap. So what did we do in this 1 hour exercise? I know it was like a bullet train we had to run, but at least we saw that we were able to create a web app with the Docker container, and we used a quick start, and we saw that that has got only hosting start HTML. And then we created Azure Container Instance and used one of the quick start image where we saw that Azure Container Instance image on the page. And then we went back and we started creating web app with the container, and we used my one of the Docker hub image which I created last night. We used it as part of the web app container. And then what did we do? We went back and created an Azure Container Instance. And again, we pointed to the image, which is from my Docker Hub registry. Those were public. And now what did we do? The third exercise is we created our own Azure Container Registry so that only people within our organization, they can use it. Now, anything I create in the Docker Hub is public. Even if it is private, I can do it through authorization. That is also there. And now we were able to push this hello world of the shopping application from Visual Studio to the Azure Container Registry, and the same thing we can do it from the Visual Studio Code, or we can use Azure CLI, Azure Container Registry. Everything, whatever we were able to do it using Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, we will be definitely able to do that using this commands over with this one, Azure Container Registry. And then what did we do is once we have an image, again we have created one uh, uh, one web app again from the Docker side, and then we went and pulled this image from our Azure Container Registry. Similarly, we created another container instance, and we bought the image from our Azure Container Registry. So we did all three flavors. We did with the quick start. We we did with the Docker image. We did with the Docker Hub, and we did it with the Azure Container Registry. That from the container instance. And again, we did the same three things for the web app with containers. Web app with container from quick start, web app container with image from Docker Hub, web app container from Azure Container Registry. So we saw all 6 flavors. Okay. So in the next month's episode, we will learn few other things. Okay. Hey, Murli, you have anything? Thank you. How do you pronounce your first name? Is it Wayne? How do you pronounce your first name? Murli, do you have any queries? Okay, I'll go by here. Anil? Nasruddin? Palab? Ram Janardhan? Anil Guest? Mayur? Sagar? Anyone? Anirudh Gupta? Chetan? Manish? Nikesh Shah?
I think session was good. We learned at least I learned the steps. Some steps was not clear earlier to me, but thanks to you, I learned few things.
Thanks so much, Manish. It really encourages.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So next one will be it's Azure Functions. The next session, which is on 8th December, we'll create 2 mini projects. It's all purely hands-on, no slides, purely hands-on. So we will create 2 mini projects on the day. Okay. So Ramesh Naidu, Sagar, Vani, anyone has got any queries?
Nothing, sir. It's very good. Thank you.
Who was this? Ramesh Naidu?
Ramesh.
Okay, Ramesh, thanks. Cool. So anyone else? Cool then. So Rashmita, I think there are no queries.
Sure. Thank you, Swamy, for the session, and thank you all for joining us today. Please feel free to even check in and share your feedback about today's session. Also, please visit Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru meetup page for more upcoming session. Thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, folks. See you.
Bye, guys.